Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. It's time!
3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayla's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Happy Friday the 13th, everybody. Welcome aboard. Jim Coyle with you as always here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Glad to have you along. Glad to be with you. Of course, as always, looking forward to another sunshiny day out there as the temperatures have risen a little bit and the snow has all but disappeared, at least from my vantage point. I hope it has from yours as well. And I'm sure if you're south of me that that is the case. How are you? Happy Friday. Hope all is well. Glad to be here, as I said. Alec Lasley will join us from thehoosier.com. Greg Smith from Rivals on 3 will join us as well. So plenty to talk about. Trinidad Chambliss from Ole Miss coming back as he was granted an injunction by a state judge, again, which just, we'll talk about that. The schools which make up the NCAA, which make the rules, are fighting the rules. And so you're breaking up from within is what you're doing. Yeah. Anyway, the Jazz fined $500,000 for sitting players, while the Pacers get a $100,000 fine. I think that's kind of ridiculous. The Pacers have been winning. Damn it. They traded up. They got Zubac. They're building. So, man, we'll talk about that. But Mids USA Hockey, USA. I'm wearing the USA, my USA pullover today. Wins yesterday, 5-1 over Latvia. The Canadian team has the NHL All-Stars on its first line, according to Brian. I didn't see it. I'll be honest with you. I have not seen a minute of the Olympics. I don't know why. It's schedule, I guess. I don't know what wins what, but I'm not interested in watching figure skating. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's a great, very artsy, as well as art athletic. So I'm not knocking it in any way. I just are the Olympics still a deal? Or is it the Winter Olympics? It's not such a big deal. Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about that. But how's everything else going? Are you ready for the weekend? Indiana basketball has had the entire week off, and they don't play until Sunday when they travel, which they'll travel the day before, but they travel to Champaign to take on the Fighting Illini, who have played pretty damn well. They're one of the top teams in the country. I mean, they're a guaranteed 2 seed, in my opinion, at worst. Yeah, there's you put them any lower than that, and that will not be that would not be accurate with what's going on. I don't think so. We shall see. Let's see. According to ESPN, the 12 teams that improved their 2026 CFP chances: Georgia, Indiana, of course, Miami, Ohio State, same old names: Texas Tech, LSU, Notre Dame, Texas, UNLV. How about that? Holy smokes, USC. How much pressure is on Lincoln Riley? I mean, come on. It's time to do something. I mean, to me, they have to make the CFP this year. Otherwise, what are we doing? I mean, if I'm an LS or a USC guy, I'm like, hey, what are we doing? So, Chris asking if I think that Zubac is more of a pick and roll center or more like a pick and pop. He's probably more of a pick and roll because he's pretty effective in the paint, but he's a professional. I don't know what all his skills are. Be honest with you, I haven't seen him play a ton, but I do know that he is a very effective paint player and very high with rebounding, and just a different type of player that the Pacers did not have, and it really adds to what they do have now, what they will be getting back next year, which is not only Tyrese Halliburton, but it is also a pretty much guaranteed draft spot between 1 and 3, as long as they don't play themselves out of it by winning, even though the NBA has fined them $100,000 for sitting players. I'm like, what? Come on. There was a big thing about the tanking, everybody tanking. Obviously, the Jazz, $500,000 fine. That's probably more of a proven case. How about Miami of Ohio? They are the last unbeaten team in college basketball. Arizona went down to Kansas earlier in the week. Travis Steele and his Miami University squad. Oh, and I forget, before I go forward, congratulations to Bryant Haynes, Indiana's defensive coordinator, your Broyles Award winner. So Indiana football captures all of the National Coach of the Year awards. The Heisman, Offensive Player of the Year, basically, and Fernando Mendoza, NFL's probable number 1 draft pick, and the top assistant in college football. But we already knew that. I mean, there was no other choice. If they had gone any other way, that would have been just crap. But congratulations to Bryant Haynes. Well-deserved. It's a lot of hardware for Indiana. I mean, seriously think about the amount of hardware brought home just this football season. You need an entire new trophy case, which I'm sure they're already working on designing, finding a place for. Where is that going to go? Where do you put the Heisman Trophy when you don't really have an area that you want it to be seen? This is something you want to be viewed. Where do you put that? I mean, I'm surprised they haven't done something. I don't know. Have they brought that out during a game? If they did, I missed it. There you go, football school. Thoughts to ponder. Well, you can ponder while we take a break. Alec Lasley's going to join me next. Appreciate you being with us. And don't forget, get your piece of history with the exclusive Indiana football from Nikco Sports. That's Nikco sports.com, NicoSports.com. You can pick that ball up. Pretty cool, man. Back with more right after these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NicoSports.com. That's NicoSports.com. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. And that means a visit from Alec Lasley with thehoosier.com on 3. How are you?
Doing well, Jim. How are you doing?
Are you nervous? It's Friday the 13th.
No, I don't get into that kind of stuff. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together until you just said that.
I see. I love that. Yeah, that's like me and my birthday. I generally ignore it. I appreciate all the well wishes, but I try to ignore it and generally do a good job of forgetting about it until you get slapped in the face with it. And thanks to everyone for the birthday wishes. I do appreciate that very much. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com with us. And first thing, Miami of Ohio, baby. They are living large as the last unbeaten team in college basketball. And even for a mid-major, it's tough, man. Getting through a season, I don't care if it's high school, whatever, unfettered, unbeaten, that's tough.
No, I mean, there's a reason, obviously, that very few teams have done it. Obviously, the last full undefeated team we know resides in Bloomington, so it's a difficult feat. Obviously, I think a lot of people, specifically with this Miami of Ohio team, right, look at it as it's a little bit, I don't want to say flawed, right, because you're still winning games, you're still undefeated, but a lot of people are not ready to kind of put Miami of Ohio in the sort of level of, a high major program doing it, such as, whether it was Arizona as of a week ago, and everything that they had done up to that point with their resume. So, Travis Steele's done a phenomenal job getting that team to where they're at. It'll be interesting to see, what happens if they do lose a game or two coming down the stretch, because it's not like they have a lot of, resume building wins. And if they don't win their conference tournament, what happens? But it's been obviously a terrific story to kind of watch and follow this season. They've had a lot of close games that they've somehow just kind of found a way to win. Won a lot of close games as well. They've had a lot of blowouts too. So they've won in multiple different ways, but should be fun to kind of see how their season ends up and see kind of where the chips fall when it comes to postseason play for them.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see where they get seated, what the NCAA committee thinks about them as well. Also, the Big 12 is adding an LED powered floor for its men's and women's tournaments this year. And it's the first to be used in the U.S. other than, I think, the NBA All-Star game in Indianapolis, but in Europe. But it may be the first time that official competitions in the United States will be played on one. Oh, wow. So there you go. I guess that'd be cool to watch. But I'm thinking, how is that not distracting to the players?
Yeah, we'll see. A lot of people have already talked about how that's not going to be sustainable. We'll see how it works.
We're not talking about something that is projected onto your TV like a green screen here. This is real. The floor actually is doing stuff.
Yeah, and we'll see how it works. I don't think there's going to be anything that happens. I think, right, the closest thing to any sort of LED type floor that we've had in college, which is still not an LED floor, seems to be kind of what they do at Kentucky in between timeouts, kind of the light show that they have inside Rupp Arena during every dead ball timeout. That's probably the closest to a more kind of specific professional style of light show.
Where did you say that was?
Kentucky.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have seen that then.
Yeah, they do a lot of crazy stuff there in between timeouts, but
it is like Rudy says, it's a future basketball course. It is.
I 100% disagree with that.
You don't think that it'll
absolutely fly? Not. How in what world would that be sustainable to watch that from a viewer's perspective in person and when you watch on TV? That doesn't seem like it's going to be.
Oh, it would be like watching a game at Oregon, the old floor they had at Oregon. Which
the new floor isn't much better too. But it's just look. I think this is something that they do more of kind of the true lights and even some of the flames over in places in Europe. I think that's the extent that you'll get. I think you can test this out in certain events, but I think it's going to be more of we need to test it out in small batches and do stuff maybe during timeouts, during introductions, halftime. But I don't think there's ever going to be anything from a live game perspective. That's just way too much chaos going on when you don't.
Not in Indiana.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're not going to want to interfere with any of that. And it's probably never going to happen to a home floor unless it's, a mid-major that's trying to probably the one mid-major I could see is Grand Canyon, because they have one of the most
getting attention, doing something.
They have one of the most crazy crowds. In their arena.
Boise State, kind of a Boise State thing.
Yeah, when you look at that. So, it's I highly doubt this is ever going to make any ground. If it does, it's going to be in small segments, and I think more so in those neutral site, like preseason events, probably the Players Era tournament, the one that obviously is out in Vegas. That's the big NIL event before the season kind of gets going. But I don't see anything like this coming to home floors anytime in the near or even long term at this point.
Let's hope. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com with me right now. Also, Michigan, Dusty May just keeps on keeping on. A top 10 recruit, Lincoln Cosby, is committed to Michigan now, and he's going to reclassify. Bringing in the bigs, bringing in the goods, man. Michigan is just going to stay good. Dusty May is going to keep them rolling, no doubt.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, it's Michigan's one of the best teams, if not, in my opinion, the best team in the country right now. They continue to play at a very consistent level, and I think right there at certain points throughout the season here, they've just gotten bored. I think they looked bored at certain points against Northwestern. And that I think goes and kind of coincides with their turnover numbers, right? When they get bored, they seem to have a few kind of uncharacteristic turnovers. They seem to just play a little bit out of sorts and try to go a little bit too flashy than what they typically do, which is just be a super efficient, effective offense and defense. And right, I think I saw something in that Northwestern game in the second half. I think maybe after the 14 minute mark, they did not miss a field goal for 12 straight minutes, which obviously is an absolutely absurd number and high efficiency there. But they just got so many different efficiency bigs, so many guards who can shoot the ball, so many guys who can get in the paint. They can get out in transition. Michigan is it's one of the most fun systems to watch from an offensive and defensive perspective. And they play extremely hard as well. I think they just get bored with how good they are right now. And I don't know really how Wisconsin did it. I don't know how many teams are going to be able to keep in the game for 40 minutes. I think teams have shown they can make runs on Michigan, and I think teams have shown that they can get, even maybe double-digit leads on Michigan. But when Michigan's firing on all cylinders, which they do for probably about 35 minutes a game, it is extremely difficult to slow them down, let alone stop them on either end of the floor. And it's extremely fun to watch from just a basketball fan perspective. Obviously, when you're playing them, not very fun, and not an easy task for any team to kind of slow them down once you get into postseason play, because they just have way too many options on both sides of the ball to either get stops or to score on the other end.
Yeah, and they have this Lunder cyborg that is just a beast, and he's different than Edey, but he is a formidable middle piece to have.
Mara,
Cyborg, the cyborg,
the big 7'3".
Yes.
Yeah, that's Mara, Ada Mara, the UCLA transfer.
No, I'm talking about daggone it, I can't think of his last name, but it's Borg. I just put the Psy in there to.
For Michigan. Gotcha. Yeah, but Ada Mara is kind of the guy that the UCLA transfer, the 7'3" center that kind of gets things going for them on both ends. Tremendous shot blocker. His versatility as a passer, I think, is what really sets him apart, especially in that Northwestern game. Brought him up to the free throw line, extended, gave the ball to him, just ran a bunch of guys off of different screens and pin downs. And I think he had 7 assists in that game. His ability, right, at 7'3" to pass over someone. Not many guys have the length or size to really match up with that. So he's looking down on back cutters. And they, I think, ran that play probably four or 5 possessions in a row. And they just have so many different options off of so many different sets. But I think a lot of that starts with what Mara can do there from a passing perspective. It takes a little bit of that pressure off of Elliot Cadeau, who at sometimes is a little bit careless with the ball and a little bit too fast with what he's trying to do. So I think it slows them down and makes them even more efficient when you're trying to score in the half court setting for Michigan's offense there.
Yeah, Yaxel Linder cyborg is what I was talking about. But you can defend him. You just have to have a body on him, and if you do that, you can limit him. But
Lindenberg, you're talking?
Yeah, cyborg, the cyborg, Linder cyborg.
Yeah, I mean the issue with him is, right, he played a little bit more of the hybrid forward position last year before transferring in. He's been a little bit out of position. All right, at UAB, he could just play kind of any one of those specific Those specific forward positions now about kind of stuck out on the 3-point line a little bit too much. I think that's kind of been the one issue with his role this year is it seems to be a little bit more perimeter oriented, and sometimes he settles for the 3 a little bit too much. So his 3-point percentages drop. But yeah, when he's firing on all cylinders, which he has for most of the year, dealt with some injuries early parts of the season. He's one of the better threes from a versatility standpoint, and I think defensively is where he's really way more effective with his ability to play both on the post with his length and athleticism there. Also out on guards on the perimeter, ability to slow them down. He had numerous big time blocks and steals in the second half against Northwestern there. And I mean, Northwestern, right? They did all they could, but they were already shorthanded. They don't have size on the perimeter. They don't have length. They don't have athleticism in the backcourt there. So it was a really difficult task, but what he was able to do really changing the game from a defensive perspective and kind of flip the court there and get out in transition was tremendous. And I think defensively is where he's way more effective. They just have so many offensive options. I think he's a much better threat to flip things from the defensive side.
Yeah, no doubt. Indiana has been playing well, and now they go on the road after a week break, man, a lot of time off. But now they will travel to Illinois, Champaign, to take on the Illini, one of the other top teams in the country, and obviously one of the best in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, Illinois is a terrific team. I think they've been playing a lot better since the Boswell injury about month and a half ago. He should be coming back relatively soon, but their ability to play perimeter basketball with a lot of different options is something that causes a lot of defenses issues. Wagler's obviously been absolutely tremendous. The freshman guard who's kind of come out of nowhere since that Boswell injury, really taken over the reins as the lead guard from a point guard and kind of shooting perspective. Obviously what he's been able to do scoring the ball, I think he's averaging about 22, 23 a game in conference play alone. He is shooting about 45% from 3 and seems to get about 3-4 threes every single night. Multiple 30 plus games, 40 plus games as well. I think everyone remembers his performance at Purdue, right, where he scored 46 at Purdue to come out with a really hard fought win there. But now Illinois has lost 2 in a row, both in overtime, both really close one possession games to Michigan State and Wisconsin. A team that lacks true depth. They've had some injury issues in addition to the Boswell injury that we'll see if they kind of still last year going into the kind of last 2.5 weeks of regular season play. But they have size, they have athleticism. I think the one thing they kind of lack is consistent playmaking from anyone outside of Wagler. It just doesn't seem to be consistent enough off the dribble. He's kind of forced to do a lot. Their bigs are forced to do a lot from a passing perspective as well, and from a screening perspective. But they move the ball. They're super long, super big on the perimeter, and I think that's one thing that is going to cause Indiana a few issues. Is the true size that they have. They're not overly quick, which is something that obviously Indiana struggled with, but they are physical, and so Indiana is going to have to be ready. It can't be something like that Minnesota game where they were just out toughed the entire second half, or the second half of the Michigan State game where they were out tough. They've done a much better job, granted, in the last 6 games here of being physical and being able to take punches and throw them back throughout the majority of the game. But Illinois is going to bring a much different level of physical play that I don't think Indiana's really been tested with so far this season, just because they don't have they're more of a rugged athlete than they are true athletic perimeter players, which is what they've been able to see multiple times. But these are rugged, physical, big, strong, older players too. So it'll be interesting to see how Indiana responds. Obviously, a critical 2-game road stretch coming up here with Illinois and Purdue to kind of swing things even more in their favor after the last 3 weeks of play.
Yeah, and another thing about Illinois is, man, do they have a lot of weapons to bring at you. And like Nick Dord had come on a little bit for Indiana, Wagler, the freshman, has just really erupted for Illinois, and they already had a lot of weapons and a different array of talent as well. They've got guys that can shoot the ball. They've got bigs, and obviously they've got good guards. So Brad Underwood doing another fantastic job rebuilding that team year over year over year, and they're the team that it's going to be fun to watch them in the tournament.
No, absolutely. They're a team that no one wants to face. Once they're healthy, I think the question is, how does Boswell kind of fit back in with Wagler's ability over the last month? I think that's going to be the biggest question mark, and could really decide not only what Illinois is able to do in postseason play, but really how their offense is run. The assumption is he should be back, right? So we'll see kind of where things really match up in terms of timing, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. Specifically, that's one thing that I think could change things nationally, not just for Illinois, because if he's able to be inserted back into that lineup and really kind of pick up without anything left off from when he was off the floor, because he was averaging about 15 and 4, 15 and 5 a game at the lead guard spot there, and Wagler's playing a lot more off the ball. I think that's going to be either a huge asset to Illinois or something that's really going to hold them back, because he's not a great off the ball player, Boswell, that is. And so he's going to have the ball in his hands. He's shooting a lot better from three than he has over the course of the majority of his career. But he's a guy who has to have the ball in his hands, get downhill. Again, a physical guard, can do a lot off of the dribble. But I think that's one thing that I'm very, very interested to see how they fit him back in when he gets back, and kind of what those first couple games look like with him back in the lineup, because that could elevate this Illinois team to, I think one of the top 3 teams in the country, or keep them kind of in that Elite 8, Sweet 16 range, because they just don't have the depth right now. And that's the main question is how Boswell fits back in.
Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com with me right now, and we've got more to talk about. We'll talk about the tournament, the Big Ten tournament, all of that stuff coming up, other conferences. And while I'm thinking about it, I've talked about some footballs for Indiana. Big Game has got the game balls that were actually used in the CFP. These are real footballs. This was exactly football that was used in the game. It's smell that leather. It's pretty cool, but it's got the Adidas logo on this with the CFP and the IU embossed on the ball. So pretty cool stuff. Just go to BigGameUSA.com. More coming up with Alec Lasley right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming, or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday, the 13th. Happy to be with you. Glad to have you along, Jim Coyle, joined by Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. And we've got, it's still a ways off for the tournament, the Big Ten tournament. But we're getting into the final, we're on the downhill slide of conference play, Alec. And Indiana has played pretty damn well. I mean, they won 5 out of their last 6, but they have a very tough stretch coming up. Game Sunday at Illinois. Then they'll travel to West Lafayette to take on Purdue, who is coming off of a big victory in Lincoln over Nebraska. I think Indiana, I said this yesterday, Alec, I see them just having to play par golf. I keep using the same analogy over and over, but just par out, man. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat. You're going to lose who you're supposed to lose to. If you can get an upset along the way, I don't know that does anything for them really other than keeps them as a 10 seed in the NCAA tournament. If the last game of the year against Ohio State, that is going to be interesting because Ohio State is going to be fighting for its tournament life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then just real quickly on Illinois, just since we were just talking about Boswell, Pete Thamel from ESPN is reporting that he's going to be a game time decision on Sunday. So he could be making his return against Indiana. So that's obviously critical.
Who was that?
Kylan Boswell, the Illinois guard who's been out for the last month and a half.
So that's what they need, more power back.
Yeah, again, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how he's inserted back into the lineup. But that's just something to keep an eye on. Terrific defender as well. But yeah, I mean, look, we've talked about this. I think the biggest thing that Indiana did that helped themselves more than anything was escaping that Wisconsin game and then following it up with kind of a historic second half against Oregon. That was one of the most flawless 20 minutes of basketball from just an overall efficiency standpoint that I think I've seen in quite a long time. It was the first time since 2015 that Indiana shot 80% in a half, first or second. So, they did some things that they have not been able to do in quite a long time. And it showed. I mean, they had, I think, 56 points in the second half, shot at 81.8%, I think. They were 18 or 17 of 19, I believe it was, for the longest time into the last 3 minutes of the second half before within the last 2.5 minutes, they missed 2 before making their last bucket. So, I mean, they were pretty much perfect for those final 20 minutes against Oregon. I think they can carry a lot of what they did in that second half into this Illinois game. I think, again, a lot of it is going to depend on how they respond to the physical play from the perimeter players. This is unfortunately probably not going to be a game where you see a lot of Reed Bailey. He does have the versatility against some of the size.
And that is the knock on this team. When you have a guy like that he's not going to play much because he's going to be ineffective, that's where you know that you're kind of missing a key piece.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, he brings a lot of good things from a floor spacing perspective, but also with the play that Sam Alexis has had over the last 2 games, but more specifically the last kind of 3 weeks has really proven to take this team offensively to a level that it really hasn't been all season. And I think that goes hand in hand with how overall this team has played over the last 6 games. But his physicality is going to be needed. He's someone who cannot pick up 2 quick fouls. We've seen that at times against some of the physical play because he likes to be physical, right? But I think you have to find a way to bring that down a little bit and rein that in, especially early in this one. You don't want to take away his aggressiveness, but you want to make sure that he's not picking up any stupid fouls, ones that are, 30 feet away from the basket on ball screens or or anything like that, because when he's out on the floor, it elevates this team. I think, specifically the two plays that, or maybe three plays that kind of showcase that are, I think Indiana was up about 18 late in that Oregon game, and he still was the one guy who out hustled everyone on the floor for a loose ball, for an offensive rebound, with about 3.5-ish minutes left, and was able to keep that possession going. And then him and Connor Enright just continue to, I think, bring the necessary energy from start to finish when this team is, in a little bit of a lull, or a little bit slow to start in first or second halves, or even kind of midway through games. They always find a way to elevate this team. But I think that's going to be critical here for these next 2 weeks. We've talked about it. It's going to be tough to win at Purdue and at Illinois. I think if you can get one, that, obviously I think right now Indiana's firmly in the field. But if you get one, there's no question about kind of where your standing is. I don't think Indiana's really going to be able to do a lot with their seeding, regardless of what they do. The next, I think you're looking around a 10 seed for the most part, which I think is much better for them than probably sliding up to that 9 seed.
Yeah, I said the same thing, because when you're there, you got to play number 1 in your second game. So I'm like, you're better off being a 10 seed.
And in my opinion, I think there's a huge difference between playing one of the 4 1 seeds and one of the 4 2 seeds in that second round. I think the top 4 teams, I think, clearly kind of have separated themselves. Not to say that the 2 seeds are not going to be able to make runs in the tournament, but I think there's just a clear separation between like a Michigan and an Illinois, for instance, because we haven't really seen what a healthy Illinois looks like. So it's going to be interesting there. Obviously, you can't drop either one of those 2 games to Northwestern or Minnesota. But outside of that, I think, right, you play kind of par golf, and you go in feeling pretty good. But I think the biggest thing was making sure that they stay 2-0 at home on that 2-game homestand last week with Wisconsin and Oregon.
Well, if they par out, that would leave them with 19 wins, and this is including what would be losing to Michigan State at home. If they're able to knock them off, well, that changes things a little bit and gets them to 20 wins. And if they were to beat Ohio State, that would be dangerous for them, because I think that might bump them up to that 9 seed that you don't want to be at. But if they just do what we think that they're probably going to do, then I think they're going to wind up a 10 seed. I'm looking forward to the Big Ten tournament. How much damn fun is that going to be? Michigan, Illinois, Purdue, Nebraska. I mean, that's just the big boys. There's going to be upsets, but that should be a fantastic tournament, as is the Big 12. I mean, these 2 conferences are, wow, they're both loaded this year.
No, absolutely. And kind of going back to your comment there, right? I think they absolutely can. I was including, when I say par golf, right? I think you win the 3 games at home, you lose the 3 games on the road. So that includes that Michigan State win. I think, in my opinion, Michigan State is not a scary team. They've been way too inconsistent, even from half to half over the last 2.5, 3 weeks, pretty much ever since they played Indiana the first time. The last about 6 games just have not been consistent enough. So I include that in kind of that par golf there, from a win the games that you're supposed to theoretically at home, and then drop those 3 games on the road, which I still think you can pull out one of those road games, and you kind of circle that Ohio State game at the end of the year. But I mean, yeah, the Big Ten, I think this is, when we talk about, chances that the Big Ten finally has to kind of end the drought of winning a title, I think, I don't want to say, right, this is kind of the year for them to do it, but I think what they need to start doing is getting multiple teams back to the Elite Eight, right? You remember the, probably the 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? Maybe even 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when the ACC was getting, would struggle in the regular season, get teams in at the 7 seeds, the 8 seeds, the 9 seeds, but they would always end up with 4 teams in the Elite 8. That's when you start looking at true depth in a conference, legitimate depth, right? And you can say the teams just got hot at the right time, but I think when you look at true legitimate depth of teams that can win it all, the Big Ten clearly has that this year, but they need to start showcasing that in tournament play. And that doesn't mean that they necessarily have to win this year, but they have to start over the next 2 years, right? Getting these teams back to the Elite 8, back to the Final Four, where they have 2 teams, where they have 4 teams, where they have, 6, 7 teams in the Sweet 16. Because for the most part, the Big Ten does a phenomenal job on day 1 and day 2, right, of winning their first round games for the most part, but they can never get past that second round. And that's where I think the style of play has really hurt them in the past. This year, right, you get a lot of different new styles. Even last year, right, you had a lot of new style of play with some new coaches in there. I think you're going to start seeing that change. But this is the year where they have to get those top end teams into the Elite 8, or else it's going to be the same thing where the Big Ten just can't get it done when it matters most, because it doesn't matter if you have 6 teams ranked inside the top 15. Doesn't do you anything if you're not getting to the Elite 8 and the Final Four, and then obviously getting to a national championship game. It's hard to win a national title. I get that. So that's why you have to start sending these teams to the Elite 8, because I think once you get there, that's when you start to kind of re-cement yourself as the top conference in college basketball, but they just haven't been able to do that.
Yeah, and a good Indiana is good for college basketball. We always say that, and it doesn't matter if it's Kentucky or North Carolina or Duke, or, it's the same for football. But that's about to wane, man, with all the changes that have happened and the equality that we're seeing across college athletics with all of these teams, Indiana and football, but just other teams becoming good programs. Man, the Hoosiers need to hurry, no pun intended, or will the mystique fade? I mean, it's withstood 25 years basically of not being Indiana, and it doesn't seem to have faded for Indiana fans. But is this mystique going, if they don't get to winning at no one expects them to do what they used to do. I mean, Bob Knight's not walking through that door. Let's not kid anybody. But to just be they should still be a year in, year out. Making the tournament should not be something that, wow, they're going to make the tournament. That should not ever be a question on making the NCAA tournament. That thing is so big, and they're trying to make it bigger. There's not even enough teams to fill the damn thing right now with quality teams. But there's no reason Indiana should ever not be in that situation. It should be because we see all these other programs that are still doing what they do. Indiana's got to get back to that.
No, absolutely. And right, I think that's why this year it's so important just to make the tournament. It's what happens in there, I think, is, icing on the cake if they're able to win a game, which I do think they have the ability to win a game. Outside of that, who knows? But that's why it's
I think they have the ability to win too. This team, Alec,
yeah, but I mean, yeah, but once you get in the tournament, right, the first game is kind of, I think, the main game that you obviously have numerous time to game plan and focus on. You have about, you have a full week almost to really start game planning that. After that, right, it comes down to, 48 hours of quick turnarounds. And there it's all about who's healthy and in specific matchups. I think that's why it's a little bit more of a crapshoot after that. I absolutely think they could win 2, depending on matchups and how hot this team is. But I think 1 absolutely is 100% doable. After that, it's all up in the air. But I think that's why this year it's all about getting to the tournament, because you need to set that foundation year 1 to be able to then build off of that moving forward. And that's why it's so critical to obviously get there. And I've said this before, this is going to be the least talented team that Indiana has. And I think a lot of fans are really starting to buy into the full system that Darren DeVries and this staff has. the multiple in-game adjustments, the actual X's and O's that he's so good at. You talk about baseline out of bounds. You talk about easy points that they're able to pick up. And I think that the one thing that is going to go miles with this fan base is his acceptance of some of his failures. He talked about after the game on Monday that, some of the play of Sam Alexis recently has been on the coaches and their inability to get him into spots earlier this season and play to some of his strengths. He admitted his faults with that. And I think a lot of fans truly appreciate how open he is with that, but also how open he is to adjusting to his team and adjusting to the skill sets that he has game in and game out, and not just trying to force things through the wall like these Indiana fans and Indiana teams have been so accustomed to over the last 8 years.
Yeah, and he doesn't just stick with the same old. That is good. You're talking about that, but that is like different lineups. We've seen different lineups. Some of them have been forced, like Tate and Conaway, but I think that this is the starting five that they should stick with, to be honest with you. Connor Enright he's done a lot being forced into the position he's been forced into. My man Connor Enright has stepped up.
Look, the slander that he was getting early in the season was absolutely ridiculous. It was, if anyone has any negative thoughts about what Connor Enright has done, even now, it is absolutely naive and blind to the game of basketball, and they have been for quite some time. What he was doing before he got moved into the point guard role was still extremely effective. Now you're able to see what he really is as the true playmaker. But you're talking about lineups. I mean, in that Oregon game, Indiana stuck with the starting five for the majority of that game. I mean, you look at what their minutes totals were in the first half. Every single starting five player, I think, played about 16, 17 minutes. In the second half, it was more of the same before the game was out of reach and you decided to put in some of the reserves there. But I think, Indiana knows what it's going to get with its starting five. It has no idea what it's going to get with those reserves. And so I think they're all going to play spot minutes moving forward, and whatever production you can get out of any of those guys, minus Josiah Miles. I think Josiah Miles is the one guy who's the most consistent out of that bench rotation right now. And it's not because he's scoring the ball, obviously, but he just plays hard. You know what you're going to get out of him, which is some offensive rebounds, some rebounds in total, and good defense. Outside of that, you know where your scoring is going to come from. You know where your playmaking is going to come from. And now it's just a matter of, is Nick Dorn going to continue on kind of the second half hot streak that he had against Oregon, where he scored all 11 and kind of found his rhythm again? Is Tucker DeVries going to be able to get back to what he was early in the season? Because if so, then you really have a lot you can play with. Up until now, you really haven't seen all these pieces come together at the same time. Now I think you're starting to see some of these trends moving in a very positive direction for some of that stuff to happen. And like Lamar Wilkerson said, obviously want to be playing your best basketball in February and March, not in January, and they're certainly doing that.
Quickly, what's up next for you and the guys at thehoosier.com on 3? I know that they've got a flash sale. You can still get a subscription for $1.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of stuff, intel coming up about some freshmen to keep an eye on for spring practice, which is, about a month away. Obviously getting into the end of the season here for Indiana basketball and looking into kind of the crucial week ahead. And then some stuff about deep dives into all the portal guys, both offensively and defensively, that are on campus, what to expect from them and kind of how they're going to impact the team, obviously, in 2026 here. And Brian Haynes, Royals Award winner last night. So
perfect. Make sure you're checking it out. Alec Lasley, thehoosier.com. More coming up from Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday the 13th. And Greg Smith joins us from Rivals on 3. Happy Friday the 13th, Greg.
Hey, happy Friday the 13th. I just realized that it was Friday the 13th. And so it's funny. It's my birthday a couple of days ago on the 11th, and then Valentine's Day comes up right after that. So those are the two things that I'm locked in on.
Greg, well, I'll give you one more thing to lock in on. My birthday is right between those two.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was laughing. I was talking to my dad last night. He's 86, 7. His birthday is, there are 4 birthdays in my immediate family within a freaking week. My dad's is on January 7th, brother's is on the 9th, sister's is on the 13th, and her daughter is on the 15th. And boy, my dad, he doesn't, his mind is, he's 87, whatever. But he called me yesterday for my birthday. I was surprised as hell. He's like, "What day's your birthday on?" I said, "Well, it's in February." He goes, "Yeah, I know that." I go, "Well, it's today." He goes, "I thought it was." So I gave him big props. He didn't have to. He didn't have all those other birthdays to remind him, but pretty cool and happy birthday. But great to have you. It's been a minute. How's everything going, first of all?
Oh, very well, very well. We're starting to get into camp season, so getting out on the road a little bit here. For me, being based in a cold weather state of Nebraska, I've got to, go south to see some camps as of right now. But pretty soon this weather will fully break, and I'll be able to hit some camps here in the region. But staying busy with that, even though it is the dead period, there's always something going on,
Oh, absolutely. And camp's coming up. For Indiana, their recruiting is kind of done, I would imagine, for the upcoming following season with 3 recruits coming in. I don't think they can take any more youth, to be honest with you, Greg, and everything else is going to have to be filled from the portal, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're kind of they'll look at a small class. I think the big name, I guess, for in 27 is still Manchin Sales, the 5-star that we've talked about several times here on this show, that made his cut down to 4, and Indiana did make that cut. I see them as they have been building this team, continuing to build this thing through the portal, be selective with some of those kids is now the big thing from my perspective that's happening with Indiana recruiting overall is they're now able to be very selective at kind of some higher end kids right coming out of high school. And so that has been really interesting to see, especially those in-state kids. They're getting a lot of interest from those kids. They had a lot of guys out for their championship parade celebration deal that they had over there at the stadium. And so they're in a good spot there to continue both doing what they've done in the way that they've built the team and then start to cherry pick some of those guys from high school that they really feel are good players.
Yeah, I was at that celebration at the stadium, and
freezing, right?
Damn, that was cold, man.
Wow, yeah, it looked like it.
I'm telling you, that's the coldest I've been in a long time because I was forced to stand outside for a while, and I'm like, I didn't like it. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, the recruiting is going great, as you said. They've got guys that are coming to them, as a matter of fact, I think, because they've seen what can be done. Munson Sales, an interesting piece because that would be the first 5-star in Indiana's history. And I only mention that because we made such a big deal on the fact that what Indiana accomplished last season was done without that level of incoming talent. So it's amazing. Personally, if I'm Munson Sales and I'm looking at, Omar Cooper Jr. and oh man, there's another one that I'm blanking on, but came from Lawrence North, Davion Chandler, I think. It's like, well, how do you not? You've got Josh Hoover that's going to, well, I guess he would miss him. No. You know what's going to be there. You've seen it. You know the type of offense. You know how they covet those receivers. So I would think that, boy, it would, in state, you could be the first. Boy, there's a lot that's pulling at him there, I would think.
There is a lot that's pulling there, but it's tough because all of the things that you laid out are very true, and then some. I think that if you really boil it down, the work that this staff does with bigger body wide receivers, and he is that, even though he's faster than your typical big body receiver, and that's what makes him a 5-star, is that he's both big and fast. And so they've done great work with those guys, and so you can easily see how he would just plug into that offense and kind of the types of things that he'd be able to do. The problem that Indiana is running up into here is that this is a kid that lives in the state of Indiana, goes to high school there, but he is from Alabama. Alabama is also a major player in this recruitment. I would call them a leader in the recruitment right now. Alabama is, and so they're just running up into a really kind of unique circumstance. But I'm not counting Indiana out by any means in this scenario because I think that they've made up a ton of ground over, let's say, the last year of this recruitment. It's been a big time recruitment for a while, and I think Indiana has made great strides, in particular because they ended up winning the championship this year, but also because they just showed proof of concept again that it wasn't a one-year kind of one-off in that first year under Signetti, and that this is something that has staying power. I think that does carry a lot of weight with Sales.
Yeah, and I have nothing. I love Kalen DeBoer, and I have nothing but respect for him and his offensive acumen. He is one of the best. And he's got Ryan Grubb down there. So, hey, man, that's a lot of power right there. Granted, but I look at the combine. 3 Indiana receivers on that invited list. 3. Alabama, I don't know how many wide receivers they're sending to the combine, but I know that Ty Simpson is going, but I haven't seen a lot from, the wideouts and things like that. So again, I'm like, wow, not only is there going to be openings and availability, hey, look what they're doing in that regard. But yeah, it's Alabama still, I just don't see them as being the offensive juggernaut that I think Indiana is going to maintain being.
Yeah, it's different, right? Like we had to all kind of recalibrate what we think. In Alabama, right or wrong, has become kind of the linchpin of this, a kind of recalibration of who we think is just automatically going to be good. Do we just think that Alabama's going to keep this thing rolling?
That's the thing that I'm saying right there. It's that SEC bias.
Like I said, it's become an interesting kind of thing, in particular with them, especially now that Nick Saban's not there anymore. Like, do you? And this is something that is crazy to kind of consider, but it is the reality of the situation. Would you put more faith in Kirk Cincinnati continuing to do what he's shown that he can do at Indiana? Or do you say, hey, I think Kalen DeBoer is going to be able to kind of reclaim some semblance of, and it's not going to be the same. That's why I say some semblance, like some semblance of what Nick Saban had down in Alabama. I don't know. Like, I don't know which of those.
And I think that's unfair.
Right now, I would go.
That's so unfair.
It is. It's a tough, like, to say, hey, you got to go be the greatest coach of all time. Like, we're measuring you to that.
Plus, it's not the same. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, I know that most people won't say it. I'll say it. You know what the hell was going on back then during that time, not just at Alabama, but throughout the SEC.
Oh, yeah,
so,
definitely.
hey, That was then. It's not now. And that's why we've got this equality across the board. That's why you've got Indiana doing what they just did and beating Alabama 38-3 along the way. So yeah, it's the transfer portal. It's not, I don't think it's because Nick Saban's not there anymore. Although, hey, I give him the props as still being the greatest coach, but that's because they had the best players and they were locked in there for 4 years, basically.
That is the thing that I always say. Like, one of the thing that people are missing in this with the portal and the player movement and NIL and all of that is when that movement was more restricted. Those teams like Alabama had so much more depth. And you see this now. That guy that's third team at Alabama now does not want to wait around for his turn, right? Or that even the guy that like maybe their number 3 wide receiver, if he's got a team that is kind of on equal footing NIL wise, and they're saying, hey, you can come in and be our number 1 go-to guy, he's probably going to go, right? Like, and that's why I'm fascinated to see just specifically with Alabama in particular is like, hey, they've stockpiled some 5-star quarterbacks. I think it's 3 straight classes now with 5-star quarterbacks coming in out of high school. They're not going to be able to keep all of those guys. We're going to look up and one of them will be looking to transfer to a place like Indiana or something like that here in a couple of years, just because you're not able to do that. Georgia is going through the same thing. Ohio State in the Big Ten goes through the exact same thing right now, where you see all of these guys kind of lower on the depth chart that want to get out of there and go play somewhere else.
Yeah, because truthfully, you're not going to be able to transfer to an Indiana because Kurt Cignetti is not going to be looking for you as a backup. He's going to be looking for the guy that was a starter. And for the 3rd straight year, they're going to have a guy with uber experience. Obviously, Curtis Rourke had 3 years of starting experience before he came to Indiana, but it was at Ohio. But that was elevated greatly under Kurt Cignetti. And then obviously we know the story with Fernando, how that went. And Josh Hoover comes in with the most yards in college football underneath of him, with over 9,000 yards achieved at Texas Christian, at TCU, in a tough Big 12. So once again, you've got this great experience. It's why Alberto Mendoza transferred.
Right. It's the exact thing we were just talking about, right? That's exactly what we were talking about, is that you end up in this situation, especially where Indiana is, well, now they have like total proof of concept when it comes to quarterback development, right? Like, that's why they were then able to go basically select which quarterback they wanted in the transfer portal, and Josh Hoover. That was their guy that they had circled. They were able to go and get him because they've got that proof of concept, not just with the Heisman that Mendoza won, but also Curtis Rourke before and what he did before him, right? And so, yeah, they could be in the same situation next year. We'll see if they end up having, one of these guys that they already have on campus kind of step up, because that'll happen eventually. Eventually, they'll want a guy that they've been developing, but it's going to have to be the right guy. Otherwise, we know that the quarterback market in the portal will be plentiful like it has been the last couple of seasons, and they'll be able to go get a guy because they've done it again, because I expect Josh Hoover to have a great season, like an all-conference level season this year.
I think he's going to be a Heisman finalist.
He could be. Like, that would not surprise me at all. Like, if they go in, which would be, how great would that be for the sport, though, to go back-to-back years of Indiana having a Heisman finalist. Obviously, Mendoza won it. We'll see what Hoover can do, but that would be great to have that back-to-back years. Another feather in the cap for Cignetti, though, as well.
Yeah, because it would show that, for one thing, the Indiana bias is being eroded, because I look back when Tevin Coleman was a running back for Indiana,
he was great.
Was the baddest man in the land, and had 2,000 yards rushing, Greg. I mean, that's something that had been accomplished less than 20 times in the history of college football, and he did not get an invite to New York to the Heisman ceremony, while 2 Ohio State players did. I found that to just be crazy. And but it's still not changed. Like we were just talking about with Alabama, this SEC mystique is still hanging there.
It's hanging, but it's dropping. I know you've noticed this. there's been more discussion. People and I feel like I tweet about this like once a week. It's on purpose that we've got to come to the with grips and the realization that the college football right now runs through the Big Ten. The Big Ten is the best conference in college football, top to bottom. And we're starting to see more discussion about that. It's still not all the way there. I think it'll be there when people realize that it's actually difficult to play some of these kind of the teams that people think of are middle of the pack or lower tier in the Big Ten. Man, those are tough venues to go through. And you've seen coaches that come into this league admit that.
Iowa. They had 4 losses this past season. I've talked about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to 4 ranked teams by a total of 15 points. All of them big, except for Iowa State, which they lost that game by 1.
Rivalry game.
Yeah, which was a ranked team at the time anyway.
Yeah.
And they were not given any, they didn't get a look for, they were better than teams that were in the CFP, in my opinion. We saw what they did to Vanderbilt, who people wanted in there. And we saw what the SEC did in the postseason. They got destroyed. Their only wins were against each other. And this is the 3rd season in a row the Big Ten has won a natty, as you pointed out. But it's not just that. It's the rise of other teams like Indiana that has risen up. But Iowa is tough as nails. Washington is not easy. Plus 9 games next year. The SEC gets to play 9 conference games instead of having the way it used to be. So we're going to see it
week.
Yeah, but
I think even like, you're talking about kind of Iowa is tough and Wisconsin is tough. Think about some of the teams that have not been very good, but they're kind of competitive. So like Nebraska is tough. That's a tough place to win, right? Wisconsin is a team that has not been good over the tenure of Luke Fickell. And I go on like Madison and Milwaukee radio, and they're ready to run Luke Fickell out of there. But that is a place that going up to Camp Randall is not easy to go up there and win a game. Like there's a lot of venues that it's very difficult to go. And we'll see kind of what happens. I think that Pat Fitzgerald of Michigan State, I think they're going to turn things around under him.
That's another thing. How much better is the Big Ten right now in coaching? You just added him to Matt Campbell to Penn State.
Fantastic hire for them. They lucked into that one.
Michigan State. Kyle Whittingham to Michigan. I mean,
you want to talk about an upgrade that you talk about, it's funny. I always say that Penn State lucked into Matt Campbell after he seemed to be like choice 14 and what they had.
God, did they get lucky?
But it's a weird situation what happened at Michigan, but I don't think you're going to find anyone outside of, maybe the Moore family that thinks that Michigan did not upgrade at head coach and in that staff overall. He's going to be very good, I think, up there at Michigan because the brand of football that they played at Utah fits perfectly in the Big Ten, and it fits perfectly at Michigan. They've just kind of got to adjust their recruiting a little bit because they have access to a higher level of kid and a different region in the Midwest. But those same tougher kids that they found out west are the types of kids that they're going to find in the Midwest. So I think that they're going to do very well in Michigan.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, Kyle Whittingham, look what he did at Utah. But Utah, man, those Mormons got some money, Greg, because they have risen in the world of sports. BYU, Utah, all good. And it's like, wow. But it talks about or what we talked about earlier, and I love it. I mean, college football has never been better than it has been the last 2 years. I mean, once they get control of this free market, free agency, the yearly free agency. I need to take a break. Do you have any more time? I'd love to talk about Trinidad Chambliss and all of that and the difference, Bediako versus that. The challenges of the NCAA, but if you don't, I understand.
No, I actually have to run to another thing, so I apologize, man.
Well, we appreciate you, brother. It's great to see you.
Hey, you too, man. I'm glad to be on. We'll do this again soon.
Absolutely. Greg Smith from Rivals on 3. Make sure you have gone and got yourself a subscription to thehoosier.com where you can capture all of that and much more. We've got lots more coming up on this Friday the 13th, and we're back with it right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle on this Friday the 13th. Happy to have you along. Happy to be here. Hope your week went well. It's over, baby. It's over. You get to head into the weekend. Is it still a good-looking weekend? I haven't seen, but I remember previously it may be looking like rain, but the snow has all but gone. The frozen tundra has, you can see the ground again. But yeah, boy, we're going to have, and then someone mentioned, is this weekend the spring forward weekend? Really? I thought that was in March, but that would be shocking if it's this soon. But I always welcome it. But it's sure, boy, it messes with the body, my body clock way more now than it ever used to. It usually takes a lot more to get adjusted to the other one, the fall back, which is great. But boy, man, more daylight. I'm all for it, all about it. Spring, get it going. Golf, just outdoor activities, just getting outside, getting that vitamin D. Well, we got a lot of basketball left. Big Ten tournament coming up. It's in Chicago this year. Then the NCAA tournament will follow that. What will Indiana do in the Big Ten tournament? Can they surprise some people there? I've talked about how they could surprise people in the NCAA tournament. I wonder what they can get done in the Big Ten. Because, like I said, if they part out and Alec was including a win over Michigan State in his par out. Well, I'm not. If they win it, that just adds to it. But I am not. That's not an expectation that I have. If this team can do that, that's going to be another big sign of growth, because I don't have the confidence yet in them holding on to beat good teams. They've held on to beat upper mid-level teams. UCLA almost got USC, who was not an upper mid-level. Well, they're not upper mid-level. They're lower upper, like Indiana is lower upper. But that win or that game at USC, that would have been a really nice win for that team, because it was so close. And it would have shown, again, the ability to close that out. That was one that they lost. They lost the Nebraska coughing up the 16-point second half lead. So until I see that against a team of that nature, then I'm not going to expect anything. But I know that they have the ability to do it. And that will all coincide if you see Dayton Connerway come back to playing the way he was playing, but I still like him off the bench. I like Connor Enright in the starting role. I just think he brings a little more calmness to that position, and they've done pretty well with him in that slot at the point. We've seen the emergence of Sam Alexis, and you heard Alec talking about Darren DeVries acknowledging, hey, man, we weren't getting him into the right spots early on because he's lighting it up right now. 8 of 8 in his last game, 23 of 24 in his last 2 games. And we're not talking about layups here. So, wow, that's huge. If they can get Nick Dorn back to playing the way he was playing, because you've seen the reemergence of Tucker DeVries to a degree. If he could keep that going and they get Nick Dorn, they're going to be a dangerous team. That's an if. Because that's formidable. Now they're going to have to match. The matchups are going to be difficult when they get up against teams like Michigan. That's going to be tough. Illinois this Sunday, I think that's going to be tough with or without the return of their guard. They have gotten just such great play, and you've seen Keaton Wagner come on, the freshman. So they are they're a team that you're going to have to watch out for in March. They're going to be a dangerous Big Ten team, I think. I think you're going to have to watch out for Nebraska. I think and obviously Michigan is going to be the best of the bunch. Outside of that, Michigan State, Purdue, I put them in the same class. I'm forgetting somebody that's up there, but Iowa's going to be okay. They're a team that might be able to knock somebody off as well because they play very well. They play very, very sound, smart ball. And speaking of sound, Indiana just does not turn the ball over. I mean, that's another thing with Connor Enright being pushed into the position he's been pushed into to handle the ball way more than he was expected to because of Dayton Connerway going out, but he doesn't turn the ball over. But Indiana as a team doesn't turn the ball over. It's amazing. I mean, it is really a huge deal because that we've seen Indiana have games of 18, 19 turnovers in games in recent seasons. Think about that. Take 10, 11 of those turnovers away. That's 10 or 11 possessions. I think of the free throw shooting, how it had been in the last several years. It's at like 80-something% as a team. It's not rocket science. That's why it just blew my mind that Indiana was such a poor shooting free throw team prior to the recent changeover. They weren't horrible in Mike Woodson's last year and maybe the year before that, but they weren't great. But before that, oh my gosh, it was miserable to watch. But shooting overall was miserable to watch. It was not a point of emphasis. It was not, the rosters were not constructed that way. They were constructed old school way, like it was 1980. But that's ancient history. You've got a good team to watch now, and they're going to get better. I mean, oops. Hope I'm still in here. Nope. Well, I hope I'm still going on. And let's see.
There we go. Sorry about that. Hope I'm still going on here. Let me get myself removed from that deal there. But yeah, sorry about that little mishap. But yeah, getting back to the tournament, huge for this program because it's a start. And I know it is not where Indiana should be, but it doesn't matter. The reality is, it is where they are. They've made the tournament 2 times in the last 9 years, almost a decade. So making it is a big deal, especially with the team they have. They don't have a great team. They've got a gritty team. They've got a gritty team that is made up of winners, guys that have all won before. And so I think that's carrying over. Lamar Wilkerson has been absolutely, golly, insane. All-American. 2 40-point games. I think the last person to do that for Indiana, or the only other person to do that for Indiana, I still think it's the greatest player to ever play for Indiana. Not Lamar Wilkerson, of course. But yeah, I mean, he's doing things that haven't been done. And it's fun to watch. It's fun for Indiana fans to watch. Do I expect him to go to West Lafayette and upset Purdue? No. But they are built to beat Purdue. They match up with Purdue. That's why they were able to beat them in Bloomington. Now, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, they're good. You cannot ignore that, and I'm not going to say otherwise because it's not true. Fletcher Lawyer is a great shooter. If he's on, he's dangerous. Braden Smith, he's a great distributor. He's also dangerous, but he can be defended. Both of them can be defended. And then they don't have a true centerpiece. They don't have somebody that can dominate in the paint either. And Indiana was able to create enough havoc for them. Was it Fluff? Is the one guy they bring in, but Trey Kaufman-Renn and the Purdue fans thought he was going to be, I don't know, I guess Trace Jackson Davis, but he's not that. And that's that, and the fact that their guards can be defended with athletic guards is a reason why they're just simply not going to be a national contender. I only see 3 teams. It's not just them. I don't see Michigan State as a national contender. I'm trying to think of anybody else, but it's Illinois, it's Michigan, and Nebraska that I think have a chance to win the national championship from the Big Ten. But hey, that's why they play the games, right? Exactly. But I just, Michigan is just, man, it's going to be fun. And hey, I hope the Big Ten does get it done one way or the other. How cool would that be to hang that mantle up in the year that the 3rd year in a row of winning a football national championship, doing it with an undefeated season, and then to have one of the Big Ten basketball teams take home the national crown. That would give Tony Petitti a big old chest pump. He'd be puffing up his chest with that. No change to the tournament, please. We'll see how that goes. But it was ironic to see the Big Ten go from there are 18 teams in the Big Ten, and originally, once that happened, they went to 15. We're going to make it to the Big Ten tournament, which I think it should have been that way. I think it should still be that way, because if you're in the bottom 3, you really, really stink. I mean, you're not good. You suck, to quote Caddyshack. But they want them to play, and I get that side of it. You're a conference member,
And so it's your last opportunity. So you might as well get a chance to get beat up on by somebody else, or whatever the case is. But and I get that though. I really do. It's for basketball. If it's for football, I'd say no. It's too much of a risk for injury and all of that. And that brings up to mind, should they continue with conference championships in football? But that's something we'll talk about as we move forward. Glad to have you along today. Hope everything is going toot sweet. We've got more to do. We're back with it and more right after these messages.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games Sunday through Thursday, plus a new menu and next-level upgrades like private game suites and the high-flying human crane. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington on South College Mall Road.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
You're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area? You need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISP Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch your teams on the big screen and level it all up with the high-flying human crane. Private game suites and more, only at 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday the 13th. A little spooky day. I hope you're doing well and everything is having a good day for you. Hope I'm not having any more technical difficulties, but I was talking about basketball and how much it's easier to let those teams in than, say, the rest. But we'll see how things change. Hopefully they can stay the same. And I mentioned the college football championships. Do they keep the college football championship? I mean, the conference championship. After playing, especially with the new dates, it might make it easier, but you play and this year it's odd because not only are they sending out more dates that it's going to last longer, you have all this extra time in between games. After you only have one bye coming up this season. Just a freak thing of the calendar, I think. But it creates even more time that you're going to have to sit around. And is that good, bad, they're other, but it's like, why? Why all this blank space? You're going to play a 12-game schedule in 13 weeks because there's only one bye. Then you go directly to the conference championship. You're going to play 13 games in 14 weeks. And if you are a CFP entrant and you get a bye, you won't play from, say, December 9th until January the 1st. So you're going to have that big lull. Then you play. Then you have another 2 weeks off. Then you play. Then you have another 2 weeks off. Then you play. So you're going to play 13 games in 14 weeks and then 3 more games in like 2 months, in 8 weeks. It's just nuts. Now, there's a rest factor, but there's also, it didn't affect Indiana this year. So that was not an issue. I don't know. I just don't. I'd rather see it just continue and be over. Why are we waiting until January 25th? And I know part of it is fighting, not wanting to battle the NFL, which I understand because that's a losing battle. That is not something that you ever want to do. And I think that's the reason why they moved it that extra week that you're going to have next year is because of an NFL game. But the conference championships, they're historic. Not really. I mean, they haven't been around that long. They were created in the last couple of decades as moneymakers. But as the conference grew, you need a championship to actually prove who's the champion of the conference. Because with this many teams now, you have so many ties, an opportunity for ties, and then these weird tie breakers of which you're breaking a tie against a team you didn't play against. I don't like that. There are so many times you can't, game by game is not the way to view things. And I just think the conference championships are important enough to stay, but when they grow this to more teams in the CFP, that's when I think they're really going to have to wonder about keeping the conference championships. And the Big Ten, I think, wants to create play-in games with, say, which would have given teams like USC or Iowa an opportunity to make the CFP this year. And I like that, especially if it is against non-conference teams. Boy, would that be fun. I mean, yeah, I dig that. But there's no need for 24 teams. I don't understand what Tony Petitti is doing with that. There are not 24 teams that can dream about winning a national championship. I mean, I'm going to give, just because of what Miami has accomplished this past year, what Notre Dame did last year, and Notre Dame's another issue. That's bull crap. But I'll talk about that in a minute. But you have to consider any team that's in the top 10 a threat. Miami was not expected. They were in the weak ACC, but they beat, or ACC, did I say that right? But they beat the best, not the best, but they beat Ole Miss of the SEC. Then they beat what many people still thought was the best of the Big Ten, Ohio State. And then I saw somebody put out a tweet. I'm not going to name him. During the national championship game, watching these two teams, I think it's something like I'm of I can see why I see that Ohio State was the best team this season. And I'm like, what? How in the freaking hell do you say that when the two teams that you're watching both beat Ohio State? Beat them. How the freak do you make that statement? You cannot look at a different game and compare it because everything's different. Different things happen. Turnovers, injuries. You just cannot compare those kinds of games. It's not, I don't think it is accurate, to be honest with you. But regardless of that. And Notre Dame gets to make the CFP as long as they're 10-2. Well, guess what? They're not in a conference that plays 9 conference games. So Notre Dame, they're no dummies. They've already got their schedule set up perfectly. Last year, they played 4 Power 4 last place teams. They played the last place worst team in the Big Ten, Purdue. They played the last place worst team of the SEC, Arkansas. They played the 2 worst last place teams in the ACC. So there's a third of their schedule against last place teams. Then they've got the military academies. There's more wins. I mean, they're stacked with wins because they can schedule whomever the hell they want. Oh yeah, we got to have you in. No, we don't. Join a conference. Why do you placate to them? Because they think that it will bring in a bigger audience. Wrong. Indiana and Miami, how much? 25 million people. So you don't need Notre Dame. I'm not saying that they're kick them out, but earn your damn way in like everybody else does. I don't care if you're in the SEC or the Big Ten or the ACC even or the Big 12. You're playing these and if you think these conference games are not tougher, you're just wrong. You just are. They are. What's the difference that it makes in the SEC this season? They're going to 9 conference games for the first time. They've been playing 8. And we're going to hear the same old, they beat up on each other in the SEC. Really? Everybody beats up on each other. That's what you're playing interconference games, you jacklegs. That argument's crap. Yeah, you beat up on each other this year, and what happened in the postseason? You got the crap kicked out of you by everybody else, mostly by the Big Ten. So, yeah, I don't want to hear that. I can't wait to see. Like Tennessee is a great example. Ranked in the top 25 all last season, did not have a single top 25 win, much less a win over a team with a winning record. But guess what? Well, they're in the SEC, so hey. What happened to them the year before in the CFP? Oh, yeah, they went to Ohio State and got demolished. What happened to Alabama this year? Oh, yeah, they went to the Rose Bowl and got demolished. What happened to Georgia? Oh, yeah, they lost to Ole Miss without their head coach during a coaching change. The SEC, what a myth. It's going to be interesting to see how Paul Feinbaum approaches next season. I mean, I understand. I get it. He has an audience, people. He has an SEC audience. Now, while it is national and other people see it, the outside of the SEC, the people that are seeing it are just watching to see what he's going to say. He's like a Howard Stern, and I don't bereave him. He's got an audience, and he's placating to that audience. But to me, that makes him a clown when you ignore reality, when you ignore truth, when you ignore facts, when you're just sitting there being a freaking homer. You've got nothing for me. And that's goofy to me. I can't do that. I mean, and there's nobody, and the funny thing is the Big Ten doesn't have anybody doing that because it's ridiculous. I think Big Ten fans are way more rooted in reality. The SEC is living, first of all, they're living on this myth. And that myth, we know what that myth was built on. Well, that's gone, and they just cannot comprehend that. What's gone is the fact that they're the only ones that can do it now. And even though this parity that we have seen, even though the fact that the SEC has just gotten trampled for the last couple of years, it's like a stampede. They can't. It's hard to accept. They can't accept it. But there's a large portion of fans that are just blind fans, and they're never going to. There's a difference in mentality, I guess you'd say. When you're just ate up and you wear the glasses, and there's thousands of those people, which is fine. Who cares? It's great. I think it's great that we have this battle back and forth now. I love it. But it's a lot more fun to see the Big Ten on the top side. I would certainly like to see more Big Ten teams pull their big boy pants up. Iowa did a great job. I still would have put them in the CFP over a couple of teams. You can call me biased. I don't care. I know how good they were. And I know that they're not built on a myth. And they beat Vanderbilt easily. The team that Diego Pavia said, oh, hell, the Big Ten, yeah, man. Oh, you probably just got to score 7 points to beat Iowa. I saw that video played over the score that I think Iowa put up 37 or something on them. Man, another fun day, fun week. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to Alec Lasley. Thanks to Greg Smith. Most importantly, each and every one of you, go out and have yourselves a great weekend. Until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.